All right, let's be real for a second. Have you ever sat down at your desk, totally ready to crush your to-do list, and then 5 minutes later, you're deep into a social media scroll, wondering what just happened? If you have, you're not alone. We're living in a world that's basically engineered to break our attention, and it can feel like we're fighting a losing battle. But what if I told you we've been fighting it all wrong?
So why is it so ridiculously hard? You've got the goal, you've got the deadline looming, but that deep, locked-in focus just feels impossible to find. It's super frustrating, right? And it's easy to think it's some kind of personal failure. But the real reason, well, it's probably not what you think.
And here it is. It's not about willpower. The whole idea that you just need to try harder or be more disciplined might be the biggest lie we've been told about productivity. Trying to just brute force your way through distractions? That's not the answer.
So yeah, let's just completely tear down this myth of willpower. For years, we've heard that focus is like a muscle, you just have to flex harder. But it turns out that's a total misunderstanding of how our brains are actually wired to work.
You see, the problem isn't your effort. It's not about a lack of mental strength. The real problem is that we've all been taught to treat focus like it's a psychological issue, when really, we should be treating it as a biological one. It's less about your mindset and way more about your actual physiology.
Okay, so if willpower isn't the secret weapon, then what is? Well, this leads us to a specific science-backed protocol for literally engineering focus. And this isn't just another productivity hack. It's a whole new way of thinking about how we concentrate.
And the person behind this is Andrew Huberman. Now, he's not some productivity guru. He's a professor of neurobiology at Stanford. The guy studies the brain for a living. And his whole mission is to take all this complex neuroscience and turn it into practical tools that you and I can actually use.
And here is the core game-changing idea. Focus isn't something you have, it's something you do. It's a physiological state, just like being asleep or if being awake, that you can actually learn to turn on whenever you want just by pulling the right biological levers. Honestly, this idea changes everything.
And just like any other process in your body, it has a clear structure. Huberman breaks it down into 3 simple phases. First up, you have the entry phase. This is all about getting over that initial hurdle of just starting. Then you've got the maintenance phase, which is all about staying in the zone without burning out. And finally, the recovery phase, which is absolutely crucial for resetting your brain so you can do it all over again. And the key is, each phase needs a different tool.
Now let's get to the really good stuff. Out of his entire protocol, there are 2 fundamental keys that are just absolute game changers, especially for that first and, let's face it, most difficult phase, just getting started.
So here's the first key, and it's kind of mind-blowing. Your brain literally doesn't separate vision from attention. It sees them as the same thing. So by taking deliberate control of what your eyes are doing, you are sending a direct physical command to the focus circuits in your brain. So here's the exercise. It's so simple. Before you start a task, just pick a tiny spot, a single pixel on your screen, a dot on the wall, anything, and just stare at it for about 30 to 60 seconds. That's it. In that short time, your focused gaze physically tells your brain to release something called norepinephrine. Think of it like your brain's built-in espresso shot. It instantly sharpens your alertness.
Now for the second key. You know that antsy, jumpy, agitated feeling you get the moment you try to focus? That powerful urge to just get up, check your phone, do literally anything else? That feeling has a name. It's called limbic friction. And here's the twist. That feeling isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that the process is actually working.
Huberman has this great analogy. Think of a plane taking off. It burns a massive amount of fuel and fights incredible resistance just to get off the ground. But once it hits that cruising altitude, smooth sailing. Your brain is exactly the same. That initial struggle, that friction, is just the biological price of admission to get into a state of deep focus.
So how long do you have to put up with that feeling? The science says the magic number is about 10 minutes. If you can just force yourself to stay with that agitation, to keep bringing your mind back to the task for those first 10 minutes, you'll break through to the other side, where the work finally starts to feel effortless. So, when you put it all together, how does this new biological approach stack up against the old-school productivity advice we've all been hearing for years? Well, the difference is pretty much night and day.
Just look at this breakdown. Common advice tells us to just use willpower to start. Huberman's approach? Acknowledge and push through that limbic friction. We're told to clean our desks to feel calm. The science says it's way more effective to use a visual anchor to tell your brain it's time to focus. We try to work until a job is done, but our brain actually works best in focused 90-minute blocks, called ultradian cycles. And for our breaks, we scroll social media, which just exhausts our brain. The better way is to use something like non-sleep deep rest, which is basically a type of guided meditation to actually recharge your mental batteries. It's a totally different operating system for your brain.
So what's the big picture here? It's time to stop thinking of yourself as a manager trying to motivate a lazy employee. That's the old willpower myth. Instead, you need to start thinking like an engineer, carefully tuning a high-performance machine, your own brain.
And this is really what it all boils down to. Your ability to focus is not some fixed personality trait you were born with. It's a dynamic biological system that you have control over. You now have the user manual. You can use your own body, your eyes, your understanding of your brain's chemistry to dial your focus up or down whenever you need to.
The bottom line is you are no longer just at the mercy of every ping, notification, and distraction. You are in the driver's seat. So the only real question left is, now that you have this control, where are you going to point that powerful attention?